value, investment, Pokemon, keywords that trigger the algorithm into making this a viral video. All right, roll the intro. Hey Gengar Gang, what is going on? My name is Ryan, this is the Analytic Gengar, and welcome to another video. In today's video, friends, PSA graded returns, number 6 of 15. Now at this point, if you don't know, you don't know, but make sure to check out the description of this video for the mail day video where these original PSA graded returns were quote-unquote gone over / covered by me, as well as some of the other videos available on the channel. I have tons of PSA graded returns if you are a fan of that kind of thing. And do bear in mind that there are tons more available. So with all that said, if you like PSA graded returns or any of the content you see here on the channel, feel free to give this video a like, and hey, if you're not already, consider subscribing to join the Gengar Gang. But without further ado, let us get started with PSA graded return number 6 of 15. First things first, and it looks like we are now firmly out of the legendary collection realm, thankfully. Don't get me wrong, I like LC, but at the same time it can be exhausting looking at the same cards for that long. But finally but not least, here is a Expedition Reverse Foil Poliwag, PSA 9, nothing special. Moving on, we have a Pikachu, also a Gem Mint, a Mint 9. One thing to note about Expedition, not necessarily the most outstanding set. For the E-Series, it is called Expedition Base Set, which always made me wonder if the other cards were also meant to be Expedition, 1 and 2. But they went with Pokemon Expedition Base Set, and then the next was Aquapolis, the next was Skyridge. So it really doesn't make sense to me how or why one of them has the term base set in it, but go figure. Here is a PSA 8. Obviously, the big catch with these E-Series cards is the E-Series barcode and reader that you can see here on screen. And with that, many of these sets, all they really had to them was the holographic Pokemon cards. Skyridge and Aquapolis would end up having crystal Pokemon or just, really amazing Pokemon as holographic cards, and that's why many of those sets are valued more over Expedition. But it's one of those things, Expedition does have a Charizard both on the box and in the set. It actually has 2. So what's really neat is that at least you get the ability to do those. One of the other things the E-Series gets praised for, and frankly, I don't think it gets praised enough, is the artwork, and here's a great example of that. So Magikarp is based off the Japanese legend of carpfish that would swim up a river, jump the river, and would evolve into dragons on the back end. And that's actually the inspiration for Gyarados as a Pokemon as well, i.e. a weakling Magikarp turns into a very powerful water dragon. So as you can see, this Magikarp clearly didn't make it that way, and even more hilarious than that are our 2 friends up here who are waving. Well, one is waving at him, and the other one looks slightly worried that that poor little Magikarp didn't make it through. I love when cards tell stories like this, and I think this is what makes the E-Series, particularly Expedition, a really standout set in my opinion. Here's another one of those cards, and I mean, I'm not going to explain the obvious here, but just a really interesting look at Geodude. Not necessarily something you see every day, just a Geodude enjoying a flower, and that's cool. I think that's different, and I think that's what makes these cards so unique. Here is a Corsola. This is one of the Gem Mint 10 Pokemon cards that I did get back in the submission. I've probably mentioned it in every single video since, but about 37 cards, or about 13% give or take, did come back PSA 10s. That's actually relatively high, so just something to keep in mind. Here is a Expedition Reverse Foil Chikorita. Obviously the starter Pokemon always tend to carry a little bit of a premium on them, although Chikorita's relatively scarce. What's also interesting is that the E-Series covers basically the 2 generations up to, but what's interesting is that there's also something a bit weird in that the Generation 2 Pokemon already premiered during the Neo series, so it's kind of like this is their second rehash. What's interesting is that the E-Series existed in that weird time in between Generations 2 and 3, and so Gen 2 had already been out for a while, Gen 3 had not yet come out, So it was kind of interesting to see them bridge the gap with the E-Series cards and, you know, introduce new mechanics. Here's a really impressive card, a Gem Mint 10. The only reason I say it's very impressive is because it is a gorgeous reverse foil card, and as many of you know, reverse foil cards have a lot of reverse foil that can get very easily scratched. So to think that this existed in someone's collection, I bought it, it was shipped to me, I packaged it, I shipped it to PSA, and it still came back a Gem Mint 10 is actually a pretty impressive feat. I do also want to take some time to point out some of the conditions on this card. You can see right here in the back there is just the slightest, teeny, tiniest white nick. What does that mean? PSA 10s are primarily defined as having superb eye appeal. And so that's why it's okay that there's a tiny little white nick in the corner of this card, because overall, this card, according to the discretion of the grader who graded it, has the superb eye appeal of a card that, you know, really does look good. And honestly, if you're looking at it from the back, I personally don't think that that little white nick really means much of anything. I know some folks are very big into, you know, perfect cards, but I think if you wanted to go that route, it's almost likely that you would need to go Beckett if you wanted that level of precision when it comes to a quote-unquote Gem Mint 10, because sincerely, PSA doesn't grade perfect cards as Gem Mint 10s. There are perfect PSA 10s that exist. However, that's not what a Gem Mint 10 is defined as. Here's another example of a Gem Mint 10, and this one is a Charmander. So I'm super excited about this. Again, another really pretty card. You can see based on the Chikorita and the Charmander that they obviously had to do a little one time for the starter Pokemon. And here's just another good example, right? This is probably closer to what many people would expect a PSA 10 to be, which is, you know, a very high eye appeal. But don't forget, these are both Gem Mint 10s, and that's something that I frequently disagree with when people kind of vocalize their concerns about PSA 10s. PSA 10s are not meant to be perfect cards. They are meant to be Gem Mint, but they are certainly not meant to be perfect, and I think that's something we can all sort of gently be reminded of every once in a while. Here's a Caterpie. Yeah, he's looking very surprised, and he's literally staring directly at you, which is actually pretty funny. I don't know if all Pokemon cards do that. We'll certainly see with the next one. Yeah, but it's not one of those things where, like, you know, you just randomly see Pokemon staring directly back at the person holding the card. In fact, this Bulbasaur doesn't even have his eye open. But see, this is what I mean. This is another one of those cards. I thoroughly really enjoy these particular types of Pokemon cards because they're just so different and so quirky. This Bulbasaur looks almost blue. And then in addition to that, you get like a really interesting look at the underside of the Pokemon. Many times you see him sitting, he looks like a little standing cabbage. Here he's just chilling in a tuft full of grass. And I think that's dope. That was a PSA 9, so let's see what we end up with next. Here is a 8 Abra. Again, another really interesting look. I really do appreciate the artwork, as I have and probably will continue to say throughout the remainder of this video. Here's a Wartortle, PSA 9 as well. Really nice card. I like the different artwork here, especially because it almost looks like it was done by two very different styles. Like, one is almost very abstract. This one is very like almost painting like in a weird way. So another interesting little tidbit that you could take note of as you begin to appreciate the artwork on some of these cards. Next up is a Quilava. What I like about this card and what I distinctly remember saying about this card is that it either looks like he farted and it exploded, or that he like used his butt to like crush that rock. Either way, hilarious card. And more importantly, a PSA 10. So I got quite a few Expedition reverse foils as 10s. I didn't quite expect that to be the case, but it looks like this particular set of cards, wherever they originated from, appear to have been very, very well kept, and I think that is being shown in the grades that these cards got. You'll notice the majority of them were either 9s or 10s, and there's actually a shocking concentration of 10s just in this video alone, which is, I think, something to take note of. Here is a Jinx, the Ice-type Pokemon from base set. You can see it has like a snowflake that it's looking through us through. Another card that's staring really intensely at us, though. Really intensely at us. Anyways, next card. Second to last card is, oh gosh, another Gem Mint 10 Ivysaur reverse foil. We did get the baby lettuce, so now we have the middle lechuga. And yeah, homeboy chillin', homeboy cool. Again, one of the reasons why I'm really impressed, in case anyone's, the nuance is sort of lost on anyone, is because of the sheer amount of foil on this card, right? The slightest little scratch is usually enough to reduce this down to a 9. And so it's impressive whenever they survive all the journey they've been through, and we know for a fact this was made way back in 2002. And it's still, to this day, in 2021, nearly 20 years later, is getting a Gem Mint 10. It, just goes to show this card was really, really well preserved, and I think that's an important thing to take note of. Finally, but not least, for today's video, we have a Gloom. Gloom is one of my favorite, Gen 1 Pokemon. He's just doing his thing. What do you want from him? And this particular one looks like he's either blowing a bubble or using some sort of foul odor attack. So again, pretty cool that the Pokemon attack itself actually plays a role in the artwork. Just something to take note of and to appreciate as well. But with all that said, friends, thanks again for checking out another video. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, feel free to leave a like on the video, and hey, subscribe to the Gengar Gang if you're not already, in order to join our happy little community. Other than that, PSA grader returns every few weeks, and tons of other content on the way every 3 times a week, every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday around 12 Eastern Standard Time. So if you're a fan, feel free to join the channel, and other than that, I appreciate your viewership as always, and we will talk soon. Peace.